Welcome to another edition of Hypobrew. I'm Tom Brennan. Early on a hot August day, looking ahead to the winter seasons. I'm actually brewing today a fruitcake barley wine, which was inspired by the folks over at basicbrewing.com. And I've used two of the recipes in the past, and this time I'm kind of doing my own recipe version of that. Since it's such a big grain bill, what I'm going to be doing is running a Parti-gyle, or as I like to call it, a Hypobrew, doing a little bit of cheating, and I'll explain what that is later on, my cheat, that is. If you're looking at a Parti-gyle video, chances are you've seen some others, you know what the deal is with those. So what I'm going to be doing is brewing a fruitcake barley wine today, and then I'm going to do a second runnings IPA with that. So it's going to be a long day. I'm going to start to mill my grain right now, and as the day progresses, I'll explain a little bit more. But right now, I just really want to get started, and it's starting to get hot already. I've got about 19 pounds of grain I'm going to be using in this grain bill, a mix. I can put the recipe down below if anybody's interested. So the grain bill that I'm using for this today is going to be pretty much the grain bill I'm going to be using for the second runnings as well. So as I was milling all that grain, I realized that I was actually running out of room in my grain bucket here, so I actually had to switch over to another grain bucket. So I hope that everything will fit into my 10-gallon cooler that I have. We'll see what happens. Probably what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to wind up pouring most of my water in there and then mash in and then see if I can top it off. That'll probably be the safest bet, because I really don't want to see wasted grain. So especially in this beer, because this is going to be a big one for me. It's just because I know that you all were at the edge of your seat. I actually did manage to fit all the water and the grain in there. I probably can go about 24 pounds of grain in there. So anyway, and I actually managed to hit my strike temperature, which is nice. So we're going to let this sit for a while, and then I'll get to the next part of the process. Okay, so I am right now doing my second Vorloff of the second runnings of the grain bill for the fruitcake barley wine. So rather than take the second runnings, which typically Parti-gyling is, it takes the second runnings and puts it into a separate pot. What I do is I kind of do a modification of that, where it's actually, let's see if you can take a look here. See, I've got it running right into my brew kettle. And the reason why I have it going into the brew kettle is because, hang on, let me just finish this up real quick. By the way, I got a tamale pot at Target, and this is in the bottom of the tamale pot, and it works great for vorloffing. No more aluminum foil. Okay, so I have everything going right into my kettle. This is the first and second runnings, and then over here I have my water, which I hope to get around I don't know, maybe 160. It'll probably wind up being a little bit hotter than that. But this is why some of the things you're going to need for the Parti-gyling is what would really help is to have a couple of pots, extra pots, but also two burners. So I have this turkey fryer burner over here, and then the Dark Star burner over here. Because then what I could do is I could heat up this strike water and get everything going over there while I'm boiling in here. But what I could also do, if I want to save a little bit of time, I could actually boil this with this pot on this turkey fryer, so I can get two brews going at the same times. Okay, I just wanted to show you that I've got my hops going here in my barley wine. I did a gravity reading. It was 1071 after I did the correction, so it's going to be pretty high. And then, of course, got some boil off, so it's going to maybe hit, I don't know, we'll see what happens. But that's not why we're here, although I do wanted to just do that for record to show you kind of the gravity of the first beer, and then we're going to get to the second beer, which is where we're really interested in here today. So since I actually have my burner nice and low, I wanted to show you what we had going on here. So I infused, I didn't quite get 5.5 gallons. It was probably more like 5 gallons of water in here. And so I've got, obviously there's some more protein action going on, and I'm going to let it sit for about an hour, and do the runnings off that, and then the second runnings again. I actually do want to make a correction, though. I did actually total my water for this beer for 8 gallons. It's actually not going to be 8 gallons. It's going to be 7.5. So it'll be roughly probably 5 gallons in this infusion, and then I'm going to sparge with about 2.5 gallons in about an hour. And I'm going to raise that sparge water up to about 170, just to kind of coax all the extra sugar out of it. What I did want to make note of, the only thing I did add to that mash was gypsum, because I'm going to be making an IPA out of this, the second runnings here. But what I really wanted to talk about too was that you could actually add, if you're doing a lighter colored beer, you could add, I don't know, maybe like 2 ounces of some kind of dark malt, like black patent malt or something like that, so you can get a darker beer out of it, maybe like a porter or something like that. So I'm draining my first runnings from, I guess it's actually my 4th runnings, but I wanted to show you real quick. You saw earlier in the video the first runnings of the barley wine, and this is what the first runnings of the IPA would look like. Again, the only thing I added to the mash was my gypsum. That's it. So it's going to be pretty light, which is fine with me. It'll probably even get a little bit lighter because of the second runnings that I'm going to, or the sparging I'm going to do. But still not a bad color. And I'm going to actually darken it up a little bit with some brown sugar and also some the light malt extract. And that is my buzzer to kill the boil on my barley wine. So I got to go. All right, I got my my wort chilling right now with my pond pump. Everything is going okay, and I've got this is now I'm vorloffing on so this is on the sparge of the original grain that we started with, what seems to be hours ago, which actually it was. Just take a look at the color there. It's actually not too much darker, or lighter I should say, than where it was beforehand. So so far things are looking pretty good. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to, after I do this, there's a good chance that I'm probably going to wind up transferring over this to my kettle, my brew kettle, because if you can notice here, I've got quite a bit of water. I can still probably fit another, I don't know, 2.5 gallons, maybe 2 gallons in there. But I think I'm going to transfer back into the kettle after everything gets taken care of here. I usually do that on days where I know it's going to be safe for me to transfer it over, because otherwise I don't have to worry about it so much, because when there's only, you know, very little space in the kettle, on this smaller kettle, I could actually use the larger one. Not have to worry so much, especially if I'm going to be adding a whole lot of hops. So I'll be back in a couple minutes, and we'll get rolling. Check the pre-boil gravity of the second runnings, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I have my second runnings now in my large brew kettle. It was actually funny. I had a problem with the spigot. I have a smaller hole in my spigot for my kettle there, and what happened was that a piece of pineapple or papaya from the fruitcake barley wine got stuck in there, so it took me a while to get it done. But anyway, so I have just taken a gravity measurement, and it looks like I'm looking at 1010, but I'm correcting it because I'm looking at a temperature of 130 degrees. So the temperature correction on that would be 1022. If that ferments out all the way, I'm looking at about a 2% beer. Beersmith is telling me, with the addition that I kind of calculated in there, that I'm looking at with my pale malt extract and as well as my pound of brown sugar I'm going to be putting in there, I am looking at an ABV of 3.5, and then if you tack on that 2%, you're looking at a 5.5% IPA. So, which is not too terrible, and again, for $12, it isn't that bad. And let me just take note here that for the this beer, the way it's going to be going now, is pretty much what's going to happen. It's going to be like brewing an extract beer. This is essentially my steeping grains that I've done. I've kind of mashed my steeping grains, all 20 pounds of steeping grains. But for right now, that's pretty much how it's going to go. And I'm going to check in perhaps after the brew is over with, just to show you guys the gravity calculation there. Because, again, for the most part, I'm just going to be adding hops, and I'm going to be adding in my LME and things like that as the boil goes. So it's pretty much like boiling an extract beer. Okay, we are just about at a boil here, and let me just tell you what the hop schedule is looking like so far, actually for the entire brew here. We're looking at a ½ ounce of Magnum at 60, then I'm going to do an ounce of Cascade and 2 ounces of Mosaic at 5 minutes. That's it. And then just dry hop the living you-know-what out of it. 3 ounces of Cascade for 7 days and a ½ ounce of Amarillo that was left over. for the same amount of time. So we are looking at a bitterness of 50 IBUs, give or take, and we're going to keep getting moving. I'm going to drop in my first Boil Edition, which is my Magnum hops, which I love bittering with, and we're just going to go right from there. I'm going to drop it right in my hop spider, and we're off. Second runnings, chilling right now. Got the temperature down to, what is that, 96 degrees. I'm actually now running it through my pond pump chiller. I had it running through my hose before, trying to save some water and everything else. And looking over here, again, I don't know if you could see, but I've got an original gravity corrected, because it's about 104 degrees. The corrected was 1051, so that would mean that if everything goes properly, I'm looking at about 5 to 5.5% beer. So just taking a look at what I did today, I made a big beer and took the second running, or made the big beer, okay? Added about 5 gallons of water, let it rest there, drained it, add another 2.5 gallons of water, drain that as well. Basically gave me about a 2% beer. I forget the gravity readings before, but then added some liquid malt extract, added some brown sugar, and now all of a sudden, for about $9.50, again $12, maybe something like that, I have a brand new beer. Now it doesn't work with all beers, because you want to make sure you're making a big beer. The grain bill I had was about 20 pounds, something like that. You know, your imagination can run wild. You could make a big Russian Imperial Stout, and then make a porter. You can make a quad, and then make a Pilsner. You could make a double IPA, and then make an IPA. You can make a barley wine, and then you can make an IPA. You could make, I don't know, you name it. You could do it with Parti-gyle. You know, one of the things I love about home brewing is that, you know, people kind of do things on their own. They kind of figure out ways to do things. And I'm not saying I'm the first person to do something like this. I certainly, you know, got some suggestions from people and things like that. But I like to think of it as my own. And I think that's what's kind of cool about home brewing. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to find out links to my Twitter and other online social media profiles, head on over to hypobrew.com. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and make sure, if you have any questions or comments, make sure to put them down below, and I will answer them as quickly as